Hello. Welcome back Outside the Cinema. Your weekly source for cult movie discussions. We're your hosts, Bill and Chris. Hope everyone is doing well. Chris, are you doing well enough?
Well enough, yeah, actually. Not too bad. A few weeks ago, I had said that we were going to put all my stuff up for sale, and it's taking longer than expected because there's so many things we have to learn. But we're really close. We got like 50 things loaded, and we're just waiting. So there'll be a better announcement coming.
Sounds good to me.
On. But I did have a comment that I forgot about Strange Darlings, that if I don't say it now, I'm going to forget.
Okay.
Regardless of what you think of the movie, the music is heartbreaking and fragile. And it fits so well because it was just so sad. It's by an artist or band, I'm not sure. Z Berg, I think it's one person. The letter Z and then the second part of Iceberg. So yeah, I just wanted to, you always mention the music when it sticks out, and this one did for me. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
This week on the show, we are taking a step away from Patreon for a couple of weeks. We do have some. We still have some, but we're taking a couple of weeks where we're going to step away. Now, the show originally was going to be the two films, 80s cult comedies, Night Shift and After Hours, but. I made a audible call right as we were starting that I don't want to do After Hours this week, only because I fell asleep watching it, and it's been a really long time since I've seen it, and it's a pretty wacky film. So we're gonna do After Hours next week. I'm just gonna do the one film this week, just Night Shift and the regular segments and stuff. But so if anyone has their thoughts on After Hours, the Martin Scorsese flick, and you want to send them to us, you can email them to us at outsidethecinema@gmail.com, or you can send us a DM on Patreon.
Yeah.
Or if you just want to hear what we have to say about it next week, that's cool too. It's very rare that I do that. But
yeah, that's true.
It's After Hours is a very interesting film. And when you look at it in a number of ways, and if you look at it in terms of Scorsese's, kind of arc in his filmography, it's really interesting, like what came before it and what comes after it. It kind of sits in this weird place on its own.
Yeah, I think that's what struck me the most was how out of character it seemed for him.
Right. And that's just like kind of like the outside stuff. The film itself is just fucking wacky too. So we're going to do that next week. So this week's feature will be Night Shift, which is another actually very interesting weirdo 80s cult comedy. So
yeah.
But if you are a member of Patreon and you haven't sent us films yet, thank you to the couple of you that have sent films that we haven't got to. Join up. It's the best way to support the show. Basically all of the money goes directly right back into the show. We use it to pay our hosting fees, the internet fees. If we need equipment to, purchase, we need to get software, whatever we need, that's what that money is used for. So Patreon is the way to keep the show alive. So head over to patreon.com/outside the cinema. Any donation is appreciated. A $5 donation for film suggestions and segment suggestions is negligible. Negligible is not the word I wanted to use.
If it's negligible, please think about it.
No, I meant
if it's a negligible amount for you.
Sure. Okay, that wasn't what I meant, but yes.
Then you can send it over to us. We'll take care of your $5 and maybe raise it up to be $2-3 bills.
Oh, maybe. Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. I think that's really all I have. We don't really have a whole lot of other stuff going on. I keep saying I'm going to have an announcement about Don't Forget to Leave's release. These things take time. I have stuff going on. It's contracts and legal stuff, so I can't really talk about any of it. I mean, it's not that we're just waiting on stuff and waiting for things to be signed and approved and like all of those different things. But it's coming.
Not stuff that anybody wants public until it's all set.
Right, yeah. And there's really, the thing is there really isn't any information. I just can't, name the distributor or anything yet or give you guys release information because I don't technically have it. So
yeah.
But it
That's
is
fair.
coming. I promise. It'll be this summer. Regardless of what, we'll have it out this summer for everybody. So, I think that was it, right? Do you have anything you got to go over here?
I thought there was, but no, I can't think of anything.
Yeah, it's fine. It's been a long time since we've had like a short show, so I'm not going to necessarily complain about having a show that doesn't go for an hour and a half. Maybe I will.
Whatever.
My own fault, though, right?
Either way.
Either way. All right.
Either
Well, let's
way
get
is
right into Night Shift here.
Okay.
I don't think we ever covered this, so.
I have not.
Okay.
No. I did know the plot though, which is interesting.
Watch it.
Chuck Lumley works nights. He's a civil servant. And so is Bill. Chuck and Bill have a very strange partnership. They also have a happy staff. Their business is growing. Their customers have no complaints. And the future looks good. However, Chuck is a little too serious about his work. So, Bill is teaching him to take things easier. After all, night work can be fun. You just have to know where to look for it. Night Shift. It makes the day seem dead by comparison.
All right, Night Shift, 1982, directed by Ron Howard. Another really interesting film in a filmography. Night Shift is maybe not as of a left turn as After Hours, as we were talking about there in the intro, but it's and this is earlier Ron Howard directing stuff, so he hadn't become the like monster director that he is today.
Right. And I'm sure this was an attempt at, look, I'm more than just Opie or whatever on Happy Days, Richie.
But yet, he put
can-
Henry Winkler in the main role.
Yeah, well, yeah. But yeah.
I'm just saying, man.
But a lot of people do that a lot. We've seen our fair share of actors and actresses that start off on a Disney show or an equally, moral, like, high ground kind of show. Mm-hmm. Not the stuff we watch.
No, definitely.
And they come out of it and they're like, okay, now I need to be an adult actor, an actor that is an adult instead of a child actor. So let me change everything and do Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There we go. Sure. And you're out of it. And then Jessica Biel can do whatever, or whoever. I think that's what this was. An attempt to show everybody that, no, look, I can do other stuff besides TV.
Yeah. I mean, and looking specifically just at his directing stuff, three shorts to start, and then Grand Theft Auto, which we had covered on the show way, way, way back. Cotton Candy, which was a TV movie, Time Crystal, and then Night Shift is his first kind of like mainstream comedy, I guess would be kind of the way to put it. But I mean, in the years after that, like he did Splash a couple years later, Cocoon was like a few years after that, then Gung Ho, then Willow.
Yep, and they were all just below sticky sweet comedy, weren't they? It's like, you throw in one or two swears and then it's like, okay, everything else.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, everything's PG-13. But then, I mean, the run, okay, let me just run through this here. Okay, so starting in we'll just start in 1988.
Okay.
Willow, Parenthood, Backdraft, Far and Away, Paper, Apollo 13, Ransom, Ed TV, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, A Beautiful Mind, The Missing, Cinderella Man, Da Vinci Code, Frost Nixon, Angels and Demons. That is a run, like, whether you like those movies or not.
You've heard of them.
You've heard of them. They were all incredibly successful, and they are all very well respected critically.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
when
not
you said
all
the
of them.
Paper, I didn't know at first, and then I'm like, oh no, wait, I think that's John Hurt or whatever his name is.
The Paper was it was John Hurt and Michael Keaton. No, not John Hurt. Michael Keaton and Glenn Close.
Oh, okay.
It was based on the tabloid. I think it was based on the Inquirer, if I'm not mistaken,
Oh.
or like loosely inspired by.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. It's sort of the same. The one I'm thinking of has a red font and 3 people on it, but I got the Paper. It might be new. Oh shit, I don't know.
Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter because it's not. It doesn't matter because it's not related anyway. But Ron Howard, I mean, incredibly successful director. On top of his acting credits over through the years.
Yeah.
So, with that said, After Hours is his first kind of cheeky comedy, first kind of step into the real mainstream world of comedy. Him coming obviously from being on Happy Days, knows funny. So, stars Henry Winkler, Michael Keaton, Shelley Long, Gina Hecht, Pat Corkley, Nita Talbot, and a bunch of other people, some faces you will recognize, 2 of which are special to the OTC Nation, of course, being Clint Howard and Joe Spinell.
Yep.
When Joe Spinell shows up at the end of this movie, it just made me so happy.
There's, for some reason in my head, I have an image of him as like an almost incoherent slime ball, which isn't far off from some characters that he does. But then you see him in a normal role as a normal human, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right. This motherfucker can actually act.
Well, you forget he's been in.
And he has a face that is so intimidating when he's serious. Oh,
I mean, he was in a lot of, big films with little bit parts. I mean, he was in Taxi Driver. He was in Rocky. He was in Godfather Part 2. So Joe Spinell was a very respected and well-liked man, and he was friends with all of that New York crew. So he knew Scorsese, and he just never really got those big mainstream roles. I mean, he was in, I think, Married to the Mob. I think he has a part in that too.
It might sound mean, but he has the face of a supporting actor.
Or a serial killer.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a supporting actor.
No, I mean, he owns Maniac, man. He's incredible in Maniac.
Yeah.
Anyway,
absolutely.
So the story that you got in Night Shift is actually quite simple. You have Chuck Lumley, played by the Fonz. He is an uptight city worker that works at the morgue. He basically doesn't say much of anything to anyone and gets kind of stepped on because of it. Film starts essentially with him picking up a body and bringing it back, and then finding out from his boss that he's being moved to the night shift, despite the fact that he has the most seniority, and the boss wants to hire his nephew to work the day shift.
Yeah.
So your character arc is laid out immediately for you. Okay, this guy's is a step on guy. No one's gonna respect him. And then he's got a fiance who is just I don't know if neurotic is the right word, but she's an odd cat.
At this time in the 80s, dieting and diet pills were fucking huge, and I need to lose 2 pounds and all that. It was a thing. It was a mental ruining thing.
Yeah. So her whole thing is that she's on a diet. She's trying to lose weight for the wedding, but she's also got these weird nuances about her where when the 2 of them are going to be intimate, he needs to check the whole apartment to make sure nobody else is in the apartment and make sure that the doors are locked, because she's so worried about the way she looks in her image, and just being nervous about everything. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting. We also
could be
have
that, or it could be just a kink that she doesn't know is a kink.
Maybe. So we're then introduced to the other guy working the night shift, which is a new guy played by Michael Keaton, going by the name of Bill Blazkowski. And we immediately know that he's the guy that is not uptight. He's loose, free, and ready to scheme wherever he can.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in the last Beetlejuice movie, we got a little bit of his origin story, and I'm sorry, but that movie was wrong because this guy was Beetlejuice. 100%. You put the makeup on him, drop his voice a little bit, and give him magic powers to like make stuff appear, and it's the same thing. You don't have to change a goddamn line in the whole movie, and it would work.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. I think because he comes in so strong, and then after that it does dial down, which is I'm so thankful for that. But I definitely see a through line from this to Beetlejuice, and he nailed it years before he made the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to say that Michael Keaton's really, really good in this movie. You know, with the exception of, say, of Beetlejuice, it's probably his best comedic performance he's ever done. Because he's like so loony, you're almost like, what the fuck is this guy doing? But there's just something inherently likable about him too at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's just like the weird nuances of like, carries his Walkman with him so that he can tape record himself whenever he comes up with an idea, and he just keeps talking weird ideas into it when they come into his head, and like they're not good ideas.
No.
So
No, but that was a thing that people were doing too. As soon as those little handheld ones were affordable, you had all kind of people doing. They whole slew of movies at the time was all business people. What about flammable toothpaste? Okay, let's go. And that kind of there seriously was that weird. So, flammable toothpaste. Don't make that. That's on the don't make list. Okay. I don't know why he has that voice, but he does.
everyone had that voice at this time period.
Because it's old timey from back then.
Right. So we are then also introduced to Shelley Long's character of Belinda. So I would say your three main leads are Henry Winkler, Michael Keaton, and Shelley Long, and then you have a good like group of supporting actors. And these three, I have to say, before I even get too deep into Shelley Long's character, is they work very, very well together. Like the three of them play off each other so well.
And it's lucky because that's it. That's who you have.
Yeah.
If they didn't get along, it would have been insufferable. You'd be able to tell instantly. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they didn't get along. But the on-screen chemistry works.
Undeniable.
Yeah.
Undeniable.
Yeah.
So Shelley plays Belinda, and Belinda is a woman of the night.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I had a hard time believing is that Shelley Long was a sex worker. I did have a hard time believing that for some reason. I mean, she's gorgeous, and there's no like, but she just seems too wholesome in general.
Yeah, so think of it like she's so innocent and trusting that she got ripped off to the point where she's financially screwed.
Right.
So,
but she has an
and she
apartment.
doesn't seem to mind
in New York
it.
City, so she couldn't have been doing that bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back then,
Right.
you didn't have to be doing well to have a place to live. Imagine that.
I know. So basically, Chuck runs into Belinda. They live in the same building. He helps her out a little bit because she's having issues, and they end up living in the same building together. So basically, Chuck's life is kind of like in this weird spiral where he's supposed to be getting married, but like his crazy fiance is just like making things difficult, and he's doing everything he can to appease her and keep her happy and make her happy. No, I shouldn't say like he's coming from a place of genuinely wanting to please her and make her happy, but at the same time, you can tell he's utterly frustrated with the hoops he has to jump through to do that.
Yeah, I think that he's doing what everybody expects him to do.
Yeah.
And he's not into it.
No.
Not that he's not into her. It's just like that's not what he wants
It's
to
too
do.
trying for him. It's too much.
Yeah.
While Bill is now working at the city morgue with them and doing crazy things like renting out the hearse that they drive around in and turning it into a limo.
As soon as he heard no supervisor, like that was when he needed the recorder, because he didn't ask permission. He's just like, I'm going to drive these kids to the prom in this hearse.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's great. He's got like the thing. He puts the name on the side of it, puts a top hat over the siren, and he's good to go.
Yeah.
It's actually quite funny.
It's great because how nonchalant he is about the whole thing. He's just like, yeah, this is what we do. Put a top hat on the car and we're off.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
the whole time he's working on Chuck and trying to break Chuck down a bit. And the Fonz is he's wound a little too tight.
Yeah.
He's a money guy, used to work in finances, but it made him too nervous. So he switched to working at the morgue because nobody bothers him. And now he's got all of these things coming into his life. And one of those things is Belinda. So since they live in building together, she realizes that they both are coming home at the same time because they both work at night. And she's like, hey, we should just have breakfast together every day. And he's like, no, but yeah.
Yeah, he turns into a dumb guy. But then he realizes, wait, I think it seems like the point of this movie is to humanize sex workers.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, when he sees her as a person for the first time, because like it was the dead pimp was the first time he met her, and it's just, so that was if I remembering correctly, the first time they've had an actual
Conversation.
Yeah, about something that they want to talk about instead of something happening.
So it's this great scene where she's in his kitchen making dinner and they're just kind of chatting a little bit. And like she strips down to her underwear because it's so hot in the room. And he looks at her and obviously you're looking at, 23, 24-year-old Shelley Long. And you're like, okay, yeah, I get this.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I
she's
get it.
got the Ripley escape shuttle outfit going on.
Yep. Underwear and a tank top.
Yeah.
And she looks great. She looks great. So the two of them kind of build this budding friendship, and she gets busted and needs to get out of jail and calls him on, was it Thanksgiving dinner? It was some holiday dinner. I think it was Thanksgiving.
Probably, yeah. I can't remember, but
so she calls him during Thanksgiving dinner, and the future in-laws are there, and like, she's like, listen, she's like, I'm sorry. She's like, I don't have a pimp anymore because he's dead. I don't have anyone else to call. Can you please help me out? And Chuck, despite being wound super tight, is a really good guy at the end of the day. Like, and he wants to help her because she's his friend, she's his neighbor, and he doesn't think anything of it. And of course, the fiance is like, why are you going to pick her up? What's going on? And he's like, she's my neighbor. I got to help her. But the funny part of it is the whole family goes with him to pick her up.
Yeah.
Which was so weird. And the future parents-in-laws are just bitching about how much New York sucks the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just miserable people.
Miserable people. So they've had this conversation about how it would be so helpful if the women that work with her, since they don't have a pimp anymore, she talks about how having the pimp is like the best and worst thing because they're there to take care of them and they're there to make sure that like they're safe, but then they don't treat them very well. So it's kind of this double-edged sword where it's like, yeah, you'll get protection from some, scumbag Johns, but also the pimps are kind of they're not afraid to put hands to you too if they need to or want to. So Bill comes up with the idea that they should just become pimps and run it out of the city morgue.
Yeah.
Because nobody's there to stop them.
That's true.
And Chuck at first is like, we can't do that. But then he starts to think about the type of the money that would be coming in and how that they could work it, and realizing that he has this background in financials, that it actually is probably a pretty good idea.
Yeah, because he was basically like a savant with the numbers they were saying.
Right. And he wants these girls, and he genuinely wants these girls to be safe. Like he wants to.
Yeah.
Not that he wants to take care of them. He just wants them. He wants them to be able to just go out and be okay.
Yeah.
And Bill kind of plays the token pimp. But it's Michael Keaton. So it's like, imagine Michael Keaton in a blaxploitation movie playing Willie Dynamite, and like that's what you get.
Yeah. Yeah.
And things work out well for a while. They do. But then, as things go. We were introduced. Richard Belzer and the other guy at the beginning of the film who killed the other pimp are basically, their job is they're just there to like take money from the pimps.
I can't take Belzer seriously as a tough. It just
Still, I mean, he's good in Law and Order.
Yeah, I know. And he looks like a tiny little guy.
He's not.
No?
No, he's not. He's quite tall, actually.
See, that would make a difference because he looks like he's like, oh shit, Jason, I can't remember his name. He was in Rushmore.
Schwartzman?
Yeah, that's about the size I get from him. Because of the hair. It's just the hair. I don't know. But I'm not saying that I think he's a little piece of shit. I just think that was the impression I got of him in this, that he was a tiny little greasy guy.
Yeah, I like Richard Belzer. I forgot that he passed away a few years ago.
Oh, well,
Last
then I
year.
can call him whatever I want.
He was 78 years old when he died.
I'm kidding.
And he was on SVU like pretty much right up until then.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Anyway, okay, getting back to this, sorry. They want to shake down.
Oh, by the way, my kids have gotten to the point now where they can say, "Oh, that's that guy," and they mean Clint Howard. So, yeah, we're
Clint
getting
Howard
there.
him and Dick Miller are
Yeah,
the token that guy.
yeah,
Dick Miller not in this,
100%.
but he is in After Hours.
yeah.
So they, things eventually start to catch up because they're doing really well, but these guys want their cut. And basically they get a cut for not doing anything, but whatever. Okay.
So who were they? Were they like the union reps for all the pimps?
That, it's something like that. I think, yeah.
It's got to be, right? So all the pimps are allowed to work in the city with all their girls. If you pay a percentage to, then you can have this area that we control, that kind of thing. Are we talking like Batman rules here? It would make sense because Batman's in it, so he just doesn't have any money.
That's true.
This is how the Waynes made all their money.
Yeah. So things start to go bad. These guys are going to come after them. Bill is oblivious to all of it. And in this weird set of circumstances, he brings some cops back to the morgue to try to set them up with some ladies, but they walk in on basically these guys going to kill the Fonz. And so then everybody gets arrested.
Yeah, which is really lucky.
Yep. And throughout all of this too, the Fonz has fallen for Diane from Cheers. So it's this.
And if I remember correctly, Michael Keaton hasn't slept with a single one of these women.
No, he's just partying and have a good time.
That's worth saying, is that the Fonz falls in love with her immediately. We all know it in the audience.
Yep.
He doesn't yet. And he sticks with one girl after he's decided he's going to leave his fiance. And then Beetlejuice over there doing his own thing.
He doesn't
just
really
wanting to
decide
be
that he's
around.
going to leave his fiance per se.
Yeah, I mean,
They have
it's
a
a
trick.
shitty thing the way it goes down. You should break it off then, but whatever, right?
The way the timing went down, he didn't strike me as the type of guy that was looking to cheat on her. Like,
No.
it wasn't like,
No.
it just, the circumstances happened. The two of them got together and then he got arrested almost immediately. And she shows up and basically dumps him. She shows up at the jail just to dump him, not to bail him out. And he was all like, "Oh my God, you came. Thank you so much."
Right.
And she's like, "Yeah, no,
Oh,
fuck
yeah,
you."
Yeah, she spit in his face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that now. This and After Hours were blurring together, so I'm glad we're getting this one out of the way.
No, for sure. For sure. So he then has to kind of come to terms with the fact that like this whole thing is now over. Like they've been arrested and their days of pimping out of the morgue are over.
Yeah.
But they luck out because they were running it out of the morgue. The city doesn't want anything to come of this. They just basically want to sweep it under the rug
Yeah.
because they are embarrassed by the fact that they had been running a very successful brothel essentially out of the city morgue and nobody knew. So
I'm gonna say that I can see that happening in real life.
For sure. But there's a point where they're in the lawyer's office and Bill is like, "Hey, no, we can milk this. We can get a lot. But Chuck I just want my life to go back to normal. I don't want to deal with any of this anymore. So him and Bill get into it, and they're basically, I don't ever want it. They don't even want to see each other again. But they don't realize, and we realize it watching it, that like the emotion catches them in the moment, and we're like, no, these guys are actually really good friends, because a lot of the stuff that Bill does is trying to help Chuck come out of his shell.
Yeah, he's
so opposite of who Chuck is. It comes off almost kind of pushy and too much, right?
It's exactly like if you say, "Oh, I gotta lose weight," and someone says, "You should eat tofu." I didn't ask, but they're trying to be helpful. That's what worked for them. That's what I'm getting at.
And there's these great scenes where the two of them are like in the car talking, and Bill's like, well, "What are you going to spend your money on?"
Oh yeah,
and he's like, I don't know. I don't need anything. He's like, "Oh, you should buy one of these cars. You should buy these clothes." But we find out he spends his money on a new gravestone for his dad.
Yeah.
Which is like this weird, like, it sounds kind of bizarre, but when he's like, well, because he takes Shelley along and he takes Bill to the thing, and he's like, "Oh, did you buy a cemetery? Oh, we could actually make a lot of money here. We get up the price on the plots. We need a bigger one."
He is silver lining all the way.
All the way. But he shows the gravestone off, and they're like, "Oh, is your dad?" And he's like, "Yeah, he used to have the smallest one in the place. Now he has the nicest one." And it's like, oh, that's morbid and incredibly sweet at the same time. And it's a really good look at his character.
Right.
He's not worried about himself. He's not doing anything for himself. He just wants to be able to provide and then also be helpful where he can and
be happy.
Yeah, and he's not selfish in any way, shape, or form, which is
not really.
No, I think there's a few things, and he makes some mistakes, but that's, it shows that he's a real person. He's a flawed character, but he has the best of intentions.
Yeah.
And obviously, love story, things happen the way they happen, and you want them to.
Somewhere in the middle, they buy a fast food restaurant for the girls.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep.
That was just we did this.
Well, it was a way to make the money clean in like a legitimate way.
Oh, shit, I didn't even think of that. I just thought, wow.
I mean, I'm sure
really
it was a money washing thing, but
okay, that's fair.
But still, it was like, he was like, "Yeah, you guys are gonna run it. This is yours. This is what you're gonna do." Like,
yeah.
Things play out the way
there wasn't even a question about are they smart enough to do this? Are they good people or whatever? It's just assumed because Shelley Long is presenting that, and she's the de facto leader or representative of them, then that's how they all are. And then you meet all the women that are in Glow, and you're like, "Oh, they're all awesome." Okay. I just thought they were dumb apes throwing each other around. Because that's people get like that.
Yeah, it's actually quite sweet the way the whole thing kind of works itself out, and the women really love the two of them too, because there's like a couple times where they have these things where they're like, you were the first guys to really ever help take care of us and look out for us and not control us and not just like be after one thing. Like you genuinely care, and they give them Christmas presents, and it's very nice actually.
Oh yeah.
And that is kind of the whole thing there. Anything else you want to say? Do we want to get right into grading? What do you want to do?
One thing about this with Shelley Long, I was like, crap. I'm gonna have to listen to her complain to somebody the whole movie. And she didn't. She was happy most of the time, as it was called for. She
generally.
Yeah. And when it was time for her to bitch at somebody, because she's good at it, it was there, and then it didn't carry over. And this is the nicest character I've seen her play. Between the two things I'm thinking of right now, which is The Money Pit and Cheers.
Well, Troop Beverly Hills is pretty good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's a kid's movie. You gotta have a solid moral character, right? But yeah, this was nice. She was nicer than I expected. Everything was. It just felt like they really did hang out.
What was the movie that she was in where she played the woman that dies and then her sister brings her back because her sister's like a witch or something?
Wait. I think No, I'm thinking of Death Becomes Her, but that's not.
No. But it was like a movie like around that time.
Okay. Well, look. Well,
I don't.
So
wanna,
I'll
yeah,
do
I
my
don't-
thing.
I don't want to look it up because I don't want to get. I like trying to be able to remember on my own.
All right. So
I
I'll
remember the picture was like her coming. She must have been a writer or something because she was like tearing through newspaper
Okay.
and standing there smiling. I know there's people at home listening right now screaming the name of the movie at.
They're also screaming, "Who gives a fucking shit about any of this?" I got it. Okay, I know. Yeah, and
Just tell me.
it's Hello Again.
Yes. Hello again. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and that one, yeah, you're probably right. She's probably a happier person in those two than this, but like a New York City prostitute in the 80s is not like a happy character when you think about it on paper. So,
Or when you
Choose-
see documentary footage of it in real life.
that's what some of this was because they were actually on the street. And and by the way, my kids will be in Manhattan in a couple hours because
Nice.
they're doing the school trip
Very
to see a bunch of plays and stuff. And my point was, I don't fucking remember.
Well, all right then. All right, Chris, do you recommend and what is your grade for 1982's Night Shift?
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna recommend this. This was better than I thought it was. I wasn't sure about Henry Winkler, but he is young. Everybody's younger than I'm used to them being, so that took a second to adjust to. But yeah, I'll recommend it. I'll give this a B. I probably need to watch it again because I know that there's stuff that I missed. Not that it's deep or layered and symbolic or anything, but I've realized that I don't catch everything all the time. Yeah, like watching it through the second time, even watching the beginning of In a Violent Nature a second time in the beginning of it, I'm like, oh, okay, so that's there. He walks like that. And it's just little stuff to notice. But anyway, so yeah, B. And the thing I was going to say about Manhattan was, fuck, it was in my head 3 times while I was talking. Oh, I said, yeah, that's like 42nd Street and Times Square. And they're like, are you kidding me? I'm like, yeah, it used to be like a grease pit. and they said, it doesn't look like that at all anymore. I said, no, it's a fucking toy store for adults. But that's what it was. That was the New York connection.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like my kids being out of state without me.
I
So
don't
I'm
blame
doing
you.
real good today.
I don't blame you.
They'll be on their way back on Thursday, so that's all right.
They'll have a good time, though.
Oh, yeah, they will.
All right, so I did want to make mention of the writer of this film is Lowell Gans, who is like a legend. Like he was one of the original writers on Happy Days. He was one of the original writers on Odd Couple. He was the creator of Laverne and Shirley, the creator of Joni Loves Chachi. Worked on screenplays for Spies Like Us, Splash, Gung Ho, Vibes, Parenthood, City Slickers, League of Their Own, Mr. Saturday Night,
Oh, wow. Like
Get
baseball.
Paris, Multiplicity, Father's Day, Ed TV, Where the Heart Is, Robots, Fever Pitch. This guy,
Yeah.
writer extraordinaire.
Yeah. Spies Like Us was the first date I went on with Ellen, who's my wife. I don't mention that a lot. It was the first date we went on at night. Ooh.
First date I went on with Ellen was Mel and I's first date was The Waterboy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That terrible.
My first one was Fletch, so you know how I feel
there you
about
go.
that now.
There you go. Mine's a good memory, at least. So Night Shift, I'm gonna recommend it. Yeah, it's been many years since I saw this, and this is it's definitely a recommend. Henry Winkler, Michael Keaton, and Shelley Long have some of the best on-screen chemistry I've seen in a really long time. The three of them together, it's just, I hate to be like, it was magical, but like, it really kind of was. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not.
It was kind of even welcoming in a way.
It was-
to, like if you showed up, they'd be like, "Come on over, have a drink."
Yeah, it felt fresh. And I'm normally not a huge Henry Winkler fan. I'm not not a fan. But I've still always thought it was weird that he was the Fonz, and that like he was supposed to be the epitome of cool. I'm like, this little Jewish man is the epitome of cool. Like,
See, I wasn't anti-Semitic about it. I said you can't be cool in a brown leather jacket. That's where I left it.
That too. But I mean, when like we'll use his role in The Waterboy, for example.
Yeah.
Awesome, likable,
Yeah.
lovable, great stuff.
From
Michael
everything I
Keaton,
heard, he's the nicest man in the world.
I've heard, yeah,
up
same
there
here.
with Mr. Rogers. Yeah.
up there. I saw a reel on Instagram yesterday of Mr. Rogers, and it was all the like little things that he would do in the show
Oh yeah.
to show people. Like he would feed the fish. He would feed the fish, and he would
I
always
remember that.
say
Yep.
that he was feeding the fish because he
Yep.
had gotten a letter from a blind girl
Yep.
that was worried that the fish weren't getting fed, even though he did it every episode. And after he received that letter,
Yep.
every single episode he would say, "I'm feeding the fish."
And it didn't affect anything
Nope.
that he was doing because it's the same thing. It's the same action. You're just talking at the same time. And I
The
think
one though that gets me the most with Mr. Rogers, not to go on a side
Yeah, yeah.
tangent here, was when that show started in the late '60s, early '70s. Segregation was still a big thing, and it
Oh,
was
yeah.
white only bathrooms, black only bathrooms, white only
Mm-hmm.
pools, black only pools. And he did the thing where he invited the black mailman in, and I don't remember the mailman's name,
yeah.
into his home, and he had a little kiddie pool in the back set up, and he invited him into his home and invited him into just it was just a kiddie pool, but to put their feet in the pool together
yeah.
to just
Yeah.
show that like what you're doing with segregation is stupid.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
He was incredible.
Mm.
Like one of those people that you're like he was too good for the world, and there'll never be anyone like him.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to get off on that one there.
No, that's it got me thinking of I don't think it's true. But it was the Kirby was doing Black Panther, and they said you need to put more white people in the book. So in the next issue, he had Black Panther beat up the Klan. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds like something they would do, and that is a very Mr. Rogers thing as well.
Yeah, very much so.
I like that, and he could be in his head. He could be swearing up a storm, but he'd smile, button up his cardigan, and you would have no idea the names he's
idea.
calling you in his head.
Yeah, one of the other stories I heard about him was how a kid that was suffering from cancer like wrote him a letter and wanted like I don't know, just like I wanted like an autograph or something.
Yeah,
And Mr. Rogers went to the hospital and visited him instead.
of course he
like,
did. Of course he did.
Anyway,
If Mr. Rogers were alive now, he would be wearing a Punisher t-shirt, and he would be getting to work. Because I'm looking for the helpers, and I don't see the helpers, Mr. Rogers.
Anyway, getting back to Night Shift. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the three of them together is incredible. It's an easy recommend. It's not long. It's like an hour 45. Easy to digest. Michael Keaton's hilarious in it.
A little serious, mostly comedy.
No, but it's like I feel like that's a very 80s thing, whereas like they had a lot of comedic parts in films that also could be considered dramas, but like
Yeah.
walk the line. Either way. So I'm
See,
gonna say I'm gonna give it a B, borderline B plus. It's quite enjoyable and gives a good message and just a good solid film.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of good solid films, Joe is going to talk about The Mummy 2.
Oh, right.
So let's see what he thinks.
Well, hello, Bill. Hello, Chris, and hello, OTC Nation. Your boy Joe here, and I apologize to everyone. I literally just straight up last week forgot to record my shit because of ADHD. No other excuses than that. It be like that sometimes. Regardless, this week Bill made me watch the most notable event of the year 2001. The Mummy Returns. Nothing else worth mentioning happened that year. It changed absolutely nothing.
Good.
Since I went through a whole list of really good movies from 1999 last week, might as well keep that trend alive and explore the incredibly bizarre year that kicked off a cultural shitstorm that proved, if anything else, teaching the average American to use a computer was a terrible, terrible idea. But movies are never a terrible idea. And in '01, we had, and again, I'm only listing movies that I like or love. 13 Ghosts had the best DVD special features I've ever seen. Joyride is a super underrated knockoff
I like
of
that
The
movie.
Hitcher. Out Cold tried to bring back the 80s ski comedy, but failed, even if it is a very funny film. Evolution is an all-time favorite and elevated the phenomenal Orlando Jones. I'm a Friday the 13th mark through and through, and while Jason X might be at the bottom of the pile, that pile is still head and shoulders above most other piles. Session 9 quietly hit the video stores and is a great example of less is more. Suicide Club kind of introduced me to like modern Japanese horror. There was Ichi the Killer. Gosford Park is my favorite movie that is way the fuck outside of my normal, genre viewing. I still don't fully understand Spirited Away, but I love watching it. Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter created unstoppable juggernauts, and oh, fuck J.K. Rowling. And my absolute favorite movie from 2001, and maybe in my top 20 films of all time, also well outside my norm, Amelie. Yeah, I said it. I love that movie.
Good movie.
I could watch that movie once a week for the rest of my life and love it every single time as much as I did the first time. I was also really nice to The Mummy last week, and justifiably so. I'll try to be a little more jaded and snarky this week, but I remember liking this one more than the OG, so I don't know. Let's see. We open on The Rock, which was a big fucking deal in 2001. Much like in real life, he makes a deal with a dark god for power and control of his industry. He pleads to Anubis McMahon that he will trade his soul to rule the world. Also, much like in real life, Anubis McMahon is like, okay, dog, I got you. But then, he makes sure that he gets the real victory in the end. Pretty sure Anubis didn't shit on the head of his mistress, though, so points to Anubis. Cut to, I don't know, about 5,000 years later, and one thing that always kind of gets to me, not in a big way, just in a small annoyance way, is we're totally used to these absolutely abnormal things now. Like in the sequels. Like, huge floods of flesh-eating beetles, yawn. Oh, here's a pithy one-liner as I'm about to fucking drown. The mummies are back? Shrug. Lame. So the best-looking couple you've ever seen are spelunking through a multiple millennia-old tomb and have managed to keep their hair perfect, their makeup unsmeared, and their clothing neat and tidy. Which is fine. I poke fun, but it wouldn't be a movie if they went too realistic and these two people were just like out of breath, sweaty, filthy, tired, and like following scientific method by logging every fucking thing meticulously. Movie would be 7 hours and like only 6 people in the world would enjoy it. The real issue here is that Child Protective Services didn't exist until 1962, and they were desperately needed in 1933 as Rick and Evie have brought their 8-year-old son along with them into a place that would give an OSHA rep an embolism, and then they leave him to go explore. Now, I'm not a parent, nor do I have the knowledge to tell someone how to perform that feat. But I know that taking a kid, still aged in single digits, that doesn't fucking belong fucking around in an underground tomb in a world where you know for a fucking fact that mummies come to life and command flesh-eating beetles, and there's like a never-ending supply of henchmen running around. Like the whole last half of this film should have been the trial of Rick and Evie defending their poor decision-making and trying to get their kid back. Like the first movie, this one clips along faster than a black marlin in open water, And if I went beat for beat of the story, it would be like following the bass drum in a Morbid Angel song. It's just too fast to follow. I bet I popped at least one Morbid Angel fan out there. So I'm going to point out what I see as a pretty significant injustice. In 2001, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon won the Oscar for Best Set Design. And while that overrated snooze fest pretending to be a martial arts film did indeed have beautiful sets, this movie surpassed that and any other movie that I can think of from that year. Like, by far. Like, you can tell when a craftsman who gives a fuck crafted something, and boy, did whoever and their team who created the sets for The Mummy Returns give a fuck. Like, they had someone hold their beer, and then they swung for the fences. This movie, above being a big, dumb, fun summer movie full of action and adventure and laughs, is fucking gorgeous to look at. Till that end bit. This movie is like the Topanga in season 5 of Boy Meets World of movies for how gorgeous it is. Okay. I have now reached the part in the movie that is the only thing anybody really remembers.
I know where this is
apparently, according to Brendan Fraser in an interview, the studio rushed the shit out of the CGI crew. And I bet when those suits look back on it, they don't even blame themselves. They probably wonder why the CGI guys just didn't do what they asked. And at least we made a profit and anything other than expecting realistic results in a realistic time frame. They probably patted themselves on the back and told The Rock he looked fantastic as a 30-foot-tall scorpion monster that looks like it was made by the Boise, Idaho Community College Intro to Computers class. Here's the thing. The Good, they properly sequeled. It was bigger and grander than the first one, but it kept the tone, and it was a very fun ride. Very fun ride. The Bad, two things. One is the CGI. Even apart from the special needs rock scorpion monster, half the time the CGI looks great, and the other half of the time it looks half finished, which it probably was. The second part of The Bad is that I was maybe a little bit harsh on Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon a little earlier. That movie was pretty good. The Mummy Returns gets an A, just like The Mummy. And if memory serves, the third one was a bit of a dud, and not just because Rachel Weisz isn't in it looking hotter than... Have I run out of hot metaphors? No. She isn't in it looking hotter than something that's very hot. That's it.
Okay.
She's a very attractive lady. I'll be back next week with The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. Until then... Be good, everyone.
Could have said Rachel Weisz looking hotter than a sidewalk in Las Vegas in July.
Yeah. My favorite movie from 2001 is Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh, I love Josie and the Pussycats.
The best movie of that year, though, for me, best movie, hands down, is the Lord of the Rings one. I mean, it's just amazingly brought to screen.
I mean, it's no Josie and the Pussycat. But
no, but it's also like no joke. Like Peter Jackson almost died making them.
It happens.
No, it shouldn't.
It does. And here's Scott.
Okay. Hold on. Our show is now old enough to review movies that we've covered based on the 10-year criteria.
Yeah, it's been old enough for like 7 years.
I just realized this, all right?
Not the
That's
first
not
time
edited.
it's been brought up, man.
Doesn't mean I fucking remember it. Yep. I admit it. My short-term memory and certain other things is gone. What part of the show are we on?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. With Reverend Scott.
Like everybody's got their thing. Eyeballs, feet, whatever. Right?
Yep.
So what were we talking about? Shit.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is...
Mr. Snuffleupagus.
No, Chris. This is...
JC and the Horn Dog.
No, Bill. Wrong again. this is Reverend Scott.
But yeah, Reverend Scott, obviously you guys know him, you love him, you hate him.
Speaking of hating me, boy oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about this week. I saw a wild movie called Sinners, and I have some things to say about it. And more importantly, you reviewed 2 movies last week, and I definitely have some notes.
I wanted to play a whole bit. Like, I had planned to do a bit for this show. And I'm going to be honest, I'm tired, I'm grumpy, I don't have it in me.
Okay.
This week's show, this is a Patreon show, and these are Reverend Scott's picks. And he's been asking us for months to cover Strange Darling. He's brought presents up a couple times, but Strange Darling is really the one that he was just like, yeah, you guys gotta cover this. You gotta cover this.
So first of all, my Patreon picks were Strange Days starring Ralph Fiennes and the 1981 experimental film by Michael Snow called Presents with a T.
I think we
What the
did
fuck
them
is
already.
happening?
But since you reviewed Strange Darling and Presents, I guess I'll just have to talk about your reviews of those instead.
Yay!
But you have to wait for that because first things first, Sinners, directed by Ryan Coogler, new for 2025, starring Michael B. Jordan, as well as Haley Steinfeld and Miles Catton. Michael B. Jordan stars as Elijah, aka Smoke, and his own twin brother, Elias, aka Stack, the Smokestack Twins. It's 1932. The twins have just returned to Mississippi after being gone for 7 years or so. They're in these flashy suits and hats with a truck full of money, guns, and booze. They buy an old sawmill building from the most racist-looking white guy they could cast in the movie.
I am totally and unequivocally a racist, as everybody knows.
Then Smoke and Stack split up and start going around town to recruit the crew that they want to use to turn that rundown building into their own quote-unquote juke joint for all the locals to come and spend the money that they do have to get drunk and dance and, most importantly, listen to the blues. So with a little money and a little booze as incentive, they get a bouncer, they get the Asian couple that runs the local store to make a sign and supply some food, and most importantly, they get a couple of guys to play the blues, which those men immediately say,
Okay, guys.
Sounds good to me.
2 of those men of note are Delroy Lindo, the cop from Gone in 60 Seconds, playing Delta Slim on the harmonica, and Miles Canton as Sammy, the twins' cousin and the preacher's son. He sings just as well as he plays a guitar, and he's an amazing guitar player. The preacher, of course, doesn't like this and tells him that music can draw in evil. Now, from what I've read, Miles Canton is actually singing and playing guitar in this, and the kid is a legit talent.
What?
That's awesome.
So while they're gathering up their crew, Smoke and Stack encounter some women from their past. Smoke sees Annie, who was once the mother of his child, but after that child died during labor, at least you can assume so, they drifted apart. Stack sees his old flame Haley Steinfeld playing Mary, an ex-lover scorned, yet she seems like she may have some feelings for Stack still. Everything so far in the movie is cool and fun and basically normal, but there's one thing going on outside of town that's not so normal. An Irish guy named Remick is taking refuge with a couple that have invited him into their farmhouse as he runs from a group of Indians chasing him. The Indians leave because the sun is setting. But why? Turns out that feller is a vampire, and he's already turned that couple into vampires too.
He's gross.
So now the party at the juke joint is hopping, the music is playing, people are dancing. We have some surreal scenes of mixing various icons of black music culture showing up in the room, even ones from as late as the 1990s and 2000s. Mind you, this is a 1932 set movie. It's a scene that I understand the reasoning behind it, and it's filmed in a kind of artsy way to try and make everything blend in, but it honestly kind of took me out of the film for a bit. But it kind of makes more sense as we get more information later, because now is when Sammy starts to play his music. That's about when Remick and his new friends show up with banjos wanting to join in. Now, mind you, this is pretty much an old black juke joint, and these are some white people with banjos asking to be invited into the party. Funny how they just don't try and go in without being invited. Now, these vampires have a lot of the same tropes you might expect. Sunlight hurts them, can't enter without being invited, they suck blood, and so on. But one thing that's kind of different is that they absorb the culture and music and stories of the people that they turn into their vampire crew. The farm couple
wrote
that
this?
Remick
The guy that
turned
wrote
is
District
already
9?
able to play instruments and
Fucking
harmonize
subtle.
with him as they sing. And after hearing Sammy, Remick wants Sammy's music and culture, and he wants it bad. What comes next is a mixture of comedy, horror, action, and just pure chaos. It's gory, thrilling, sad, shocking, hilarious, and entertaining. It's one of the most unique vampire movies that I've seen in quite a long time. And on top of that, after about maybe only 2 minutes of seeing two Michael B. Jordans on screen, I didn't even think about the fact that it was both the same actor. Not only are the special effects amazingly well done, but it just is subtle acting changes between the brothers. It just never left a single doubt about which brother you were watching. Even though one of them was wearing like a different colored hat and then the other one's kind of always wearing red, one's always wearing blue. I don't think it would have mattered if they were wearing exactly the same clothes. You would have been able to instantly tell the difference between them. It really is a testament to Michael B. Jordan's acting ability, as well as the direction and how the special effects scenes were set up to where he could interact with his brother and make it feel like it was really two different people on screen. I mean, overall, I was incredibly impressed with Sinners. And you can feel this was the same director that did both Black Panther films in regards to making a culture be expressed and felt throughout the movie. And he also directed Creed, and you can kind of tell how well Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan worked together. Plus, this was a mixture of normal widescreen and full IMAX screen ratios. There's a particularly amazing action sequence where there's just a lot of people walking towards you on the screen, and the black bars slowly stretch and disappear out of view, filling up the entire viewing area. This was definitely a great film to see on IMAX, mainly for that reason. It's probably obvious by now that I highly recommend Sinners. While the whole film is great, the third act is pretty amazing, especially the final minutes of the movie. But just keep in mind, it's a long movie. It's like about 2 hours and 20 minutes. And 5 minutes of that happens after the beginning of the credits. But I'll just say this, it's definitely worth sticking around to see that scene at the end. I give Sinners a high B+, bordering on an A- almost. Okay, now for the real shit. Strange Darling, which I reviewed 33 plus weeks ago on episode 585. And unfortunately, things did not start out great on your review.
I didn't like that at all.
I knew right away I should have just sent Bill a copy of this movie with the opening card about being filmed in 35 millimeter, just plain cut out of the movie.
Filmed entirely on 35 millimeter because no film has ever been filmed on 35 millimeter before.
We get it. You're jealous you have to film your stuff digitally.
Oh, I'm not a very good filmmaker.
And then it was the bashing of the out of order chapter structure of the movie. And look, Bill, I understand you're the only one allowed to screw up the order of numbers on the show.
I wonder.
We're at 5, right? I should have 5 left, right?
No, I have 4.
Well, we're only at number 5.
Hold on.
So did we misnumber them then?
No, I think you're just confused right now because I have 4 left. I know that because I only have 10 on my list.
Right, but we're not about numbers. I'm not about numbers.
Meanwhile, Chris was appreciating the structure of this movie. He knew it wasn't about the millimeter size of the film, but rather the character development.
So every person that showed up on screen, I was instantly fucking suspicious about. And any person that was treated with a modicum of kindness, I thought at one point or another they were in on it and part of it. But I don't know.
By that point, Bill had moved on to how he hated Strange Darling because he didn't have it on his own top 10 list.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know how this was Scott's favorite film of the year last year. Me and him are usually pretty in entwined with things that we like.
Meanwhile, Chris was recognizing the raw emotion and talent of Willa Fitzgerald.
If this movie qualifies for next year's Oscars, personally, I would have nominated her for this. She scared the shit out of me.
Of course, then Chris had to go and screw up his review and just give it minus a grade over something silly like some intensely uncomfortable, disgusting, depraved hotel sex scene.
I hate this movie. But I don't know. This is the exact Nemesis movie that I don't know what to do with.
That review made me wonder if you've learned nothing over the last 17 years of watching movies. Open your damn eyes before you fall on your face.
Oh, I get it. You're trying to tell me my shoe's untied.
I give your review a B+.
This isn't bad. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's good. It's not great.
And last but certainly not least, we had Presents, which I expertly reviewed just a few weeks ago on episode 886. This started out a lot better because right off the bat, I could tell we all hated Lucy Liu's character. I sure love when we can all be bullies together.
No, that's called teamwork.
Exactly.
You're supporting each other.
Exactly. All teamwork.
Okay, fine, teamwork. I was a little concerned because Bill got very confused over the first-person point of view and how it was always going in and out of the closet. Sometimes the screen went black and he thought the movie was over already, and then it came back on again.
It doesn't make sense.
No,
But
it doesn't.
It's
But
really awesome to see.
because you never know what you're going to get next.
Right.
At one point, Chris thought it was a video game, and he got really frustrated when his controller wasn't working.
It's not under my own power. I have no control over the situation. Where am I going?
I don't know.
But by the end of the movie, I could tell that despite how uncomfortable things got on screen, you knew that the stakes had to be that high and the villain needed to be that evil so the resolution could pay off in the best way possible. Even when Chris wanted to turn it off, he knew he couldn't. Not just because he knew Bill still wanted my Patreon money, but because he wanted to respect my movie choice.
Just remember, everything I did was for you. You, not both of you. For you specifically.
Yeah.
So I give your review of my pick of Presents a straight A. All right, I think that's plenty of segment for 1 week. I had a nice little summary of everything to say here, but I think instead I'm just going to end the segment.
So once again, your solution is to do nothing.
Sure is. So until the next time Michael B. Jordan plays his own vampire twin, peace and love, guys. That's it for entertainment news. Now here's Weenie in the Butt with the weather.
We're not weenie in the butt anymore.
No.
Just do the damn weather.
Looking at the temperatures real quick, we're not going to dip below 62. One day it's 62 and the rest 67 and higher.
Wasn't today only going to be like 58, 9?
It is currently 52 degrees in the AM here on,
WOTs.
yeah.
All right. I don't know how we managed to only review one film and the show is still an hour and 10 minutes long.
I think that's because Scott did a 40-minute review.
Maybe. Thank you guys for hanging out. If you would like to join the Patreon, we would love your support. Patreon.com/outside the cinema. Follow Chris and I on Instagram and Blue Sky and those places at OTC Bill, at Cthulhu. Next week, we'll be doing After Hours. It may just be After Hours. I haven't decided yet because I feel like if we did an hour and 10 minutes with the film we had this week, that film is going to probably be long enough to be able to hold the whole episode too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But everyone have a good week. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
It's all about for sure. Surrounded by secret boyfriends, petty jealousies, orgies, and lesbian games.